That's as good a time as any to start the stream. He had to stop talking for like a quarter second. Hi, welcome to, on a side note, commentating. Spacex is launching. It's the first U.S. space flight. I don't remember when the last one was. Aaron, that's your wheelhouse.
Yeah, first crewed U.S. space flight.
In like
almost a decade.
Yeah,
a little less, 9 years.
10 issues.
So we're gonna send it back to KS.
Anyway, so we should have started at noon, but someone had to work.
Oh my god, we should have started it at noon. Are you insane?
From propellant load at T.
I could have seen starting it like a half an hour ago, but no.
Propellant load has started. So that's about 1 minute and 13 seconds away.
I'm very excited that we're going to space again. Although right here would have been a better time to start the fucking stream since there's just long stretches of silence.
Hello and welcome to, on a side note, Commentates SpaceX launch.
Also, all the load, 1.1 million people watching right now on like the NASA stream.
This is an important event, Aaron.
There was a malfunction.
Very important.
Yeah.
Usually everything goes nominally when you fly to space, but you have to think about the things that you have to
I mean, like you said, it's the first time in 9 fucking years.
Mission, I was calling out the
and it's,
other than that, we've been relying on the Russians.
Different abort calls around the country.
But also, it's a private company. Like, yeah, they're launching from NASA and using NASA's control center, but this ship is all Elon.
Absolutely, and we're just.
I mean, I'm not one of those Reddit tier people that's going, "Oh, Elon Musk." Oh. Like,
I'm just saying. Hopefully, after this,
I want the cuck cube.
Any second now.
4x4.
So let's listen in.
I'm just hoping that if this goes well, Elon will be able to train and send up his own astronauts instead of them having to be NASA employees.
I've been watching since noonish in NASA channel on Dish, and it's been super dry. Yeah, I believe it.
And yeah, liquid oxygen and RP1, which is.
But I would also.
So
I mean,
we are 30
definite prompts where they're due. I'm no fucking rocket scientist, so yeah. I mean, it is an impressive feat.
2011. We know that the launch is
take a private company all the way to the point where you're doing the national government's job.
Well,
miles down the road at what we call
I mean, I think it's another discussion to be had on whether the national government does have like a preordained
what
right
space
and necessity to like do space travel or anything like that, but still.
I mean, what space race do we have right now besides just going to the International Space Station? It's not like it's the next going to the moon yet. You know, we're not working up to Mars quite yet.
There actually is right now a U.S. race to get back to the
between
moon.
that and effectively between us and China.
So as you can see, Dragon is actually broken up into 4 quads, and each quad has 2.
China has a definite interest in going to the moon, and they've been sending rovers and landers up there.
As I mentioned, they are biprop engines. They have MMH and NTO as their oxidizer.
And
now most abort.
Kyle, you remember that fucking executive order I was reading about that Trump put through? Of wanting to start to delineate areas for, mining on the moon.
It's gonna be so awesome.
It's a race for resources, untapped.
I'm gonna do everything in my power to go be a miner on the fucking moon.
So she's talking about
well, Dragon is a little bit different in that its escape system is actually integrated into the vehicle, and that's great for a couple of reasons. One,
what, the crew capsule?
Yeah, and like emergency situations. Do they have any view of the outside world, or is it all computer screens, right?
I mean, we can see in the picture right there that it looks like
literally right near their feet there's a some kind of.
That's what I was wondering. Like I can't really tell what that is.
That's a porthole, but because they're strapped in right now, they can only see the screens that they're looking at.
Thanks for walking.
How nerve-wracking that must be. I mean, like, I'm sure, because this guy's done, 3 trips, I think it said? But, like, even, like, a submarine, that's gotta be nerve-wracking. Like, you're just in a tube, and you can't see shit on the outside, like, and everything is going on around you.
There was special testing that had to be done for those people.
Strapped to a fucking giant fucking squeeze can, spray cheese can of fucking, like, propellant.
Yeah.
For an on-time launch. But weather
Let's not forget that.
the wrong way right now.
But like
I swear to God, the weather better let up.
In case we hear
submariners are put through like specific training, and it's a very certain kind of person that can do it. It's not just something anyone can do.
I know, but like I was more making like it's you just can't see anything. It's kind of crazy.
Oh wait, hold on. They're talking about the propellant.
rocket-grade kerosene, also called RP1, refined petroleum. We use an oxidizer.
Salmon.
Super chilled liquid oxygen, or LOX as we call it. Those two propellants come together, but they don't lake, so we need an ignition source to complete the fire triangle. For this, Falcon 9 uses a fluid called T-tub. You might see that just before first stage ignition, or maybe later in the second stage ignition. You get a green-colored flame as the T-tub comes out into the oxygen, and that ignites the main engines right before the rocket takes off or the second stage engine lights. Now, currently in the fueling, RP1 fuel is about 10% full on the first stage. That's the bottom 2/3 of the stack of the vehicle you can see on the
Jesus.
left. The first stage is that long white cylinder at the bottom, plus that black cylinder called the inner stage.
Where they
That's the entire
sending
first stage.
putting salmon in the fuel tank.
And the RP1 kerosene. That's the part that comes back to Earth. The second stage just above it, the white cylinder, and then above that will be the Dragon trunk and the capsule. Now currently the second stage is also loaded
8%.
with RP1. That's about 8% full right now. We are loading liquid oxygen.
Also,
on the
like,
first stage.
not to interrupt this,
Liquid oxygen load will begin at T-minus 16.5
but where the fuck is Trevor with Mr. Kerbal Space Program?
Yeah, right.
Continue on both the first and second stage until the last few minutes.
Also, liquid oxygen, that can't be cheap, man.
Loading is also on.
It's just normal pure oxygen that's been
We use that to pressure
chilled
the tank
to
flood as the propellant is
temperature where it becomes liquid.
turbo pumps. Dragon on board the spacecraft. You can see the astronauts are monitoring systems while propellant is loaded into the Falcon 9. Now, when we flew the first demo flight last year and then the in-flight escape test earlier this year, the sounds inside the Dragon capsule were recorded. So as part of the training, the sounds of the propellant loading were played back to acclimate the crew to what they're experiencing now. I'm listening to some discussion on one of the back nets, trying to track where we are with the weather criteria. We're just passing another weather.
How pissed would you be if you were sitting in that fucking space shuttle for
3 hours, 4 hours
and then
now?
like, oh, we're canceling, pack it in, boys.
Inside of 30 minutes. But if the
I also imagine that these guys have to be in like quarantine for a long time
2 weeks.
before they can go up to the space station.
So we're waiting to see whether or not
All this shit going on, yeah.
count.
Now, even without this shit, it's a 2-week, I believe, quarantine minimum.
Oh,
With no problems in the air and the sea space area.
Because the people that have been up on the space station for a while, they're gonna have super weak immune systems, and you can't bring any bugs up there.
Instantaneous launch time. So at this point, if we
Not even herpes.
for any reason, we're going to have to.
I mean, that's not really what they worry about, but yeah.
I mean, the next launch is May 30th, so that's not that crazy.
Oh, yeah.
The next launch window if
I
this
don't-
one fails, or just the next
Yeah,
launch?
if
Okay.
this one doesn't go through.
For demo 2, Bob and Doug's
No, I was about to say they'd be ramping it the fuck up if they were just gonna be like, all right, next one up.
is very similar to the trip our cargo Dragon makes back and forth to the International Space Station, with two noticeable differences: docking and splashing.
So they're also gonna land this rocket, right?
It should. It's a Dragon class.
Ground operations teams.
I'm excited to see that as well. Like, I want to see this shit dock with the ISS, but I want to see the...
Well, that's gonna be in 19 hours from now.
That was over my place when it was like,
Falcon 9 and Dragon on your
if not the first, then like the second or third attempt of them just trying to get the landing proper.
Once we
And we saw it happen, and it was perfect. It was like, what the fuck?
We will watch Falcon 9 and Dragon make
It was insane to see it.
and first and second stages separate and send Dragon on its way to the space station.
And once it gets on orbit, mission operators will prepare Dragon for on-orbit operations, where Dragon will execute a series of burns that are going to gradually raise its orbit to align more closely with the International Space Station. And you're seeing some of that track in the animation on your screen right now. After doing enough
Nice.
burns, they'll put Dragon... Oh, sounds like we're going to get a weather update real quick for the crew.
Go ahead, Spacex. Yeah, we're currently just evaluating a constraint on the field mill rule, which looks at lightning energy dissipation. We expect to have an update at about T-minus 20, and more information there on whether we would be able to continue into the prop load.
He's just sitting there like, okay, what do you want me to say about that? Okay, thanks. Like, were you just checking in to say hi?
We're letting you know that we're going to let you know something in 7 minutes.
In about 6 minutes, if we're going to have enough time.
All right, you do that.
To a couple of those.
Thank you.
I love that the guy in the back was just like, yeah, thumbs up, cool.
15 minutes, so they have until about 16 minutes and 30 seconds.
There was like a good 15 seconds of silence before he's like, okay.
Just a couple of minutes, but it is going to be a pretty interesting trip uphill for them once they actually get on orbit.
It better launch, man, or I'm gonna be pissed.
Me too.
To figure out if we are launching today, but
Like I said, you only gotta wait a couple days.
to what we were talking about.
Not the point.
Next, Dragon will make its approach and actually dock with the space station. This is a very different process from what we've seen with Dragon cargo deliveries in the past, which used a process called berthing. Now, berthing requires a spacecraft to approach the station and then stop so a crew
I know how berthing works.
robotic arm to capture the spacecraft. Docking on this version of Dragon can be done autonomously.
Stage 2 cryo-helium load started.
No, I think that actually works.
No
better.
crew aboard the station. It's
But
typically
Jake, the cryogenic helium that they're loading, I believe that's what they're using to keep the liquid oxygen in a liquid state.
Once captured, a spacecraft then gets attached to a common berthing.
It's a good thing helium's a renewable energy.
Connect each of the modules together on board station. So
I mean, technically with a Large Hadron Collider, any element is renewable.
This is, I suppose.
to 120 dock before preparing to return home.
Isn't there a helium shortage?
Objectives and
I use my quoting fingers there.
out the cabin. Final system check.
I don't know. I haven't been getting any down at the store, and they stopped it at the beginning of this whole COVID crisis. So.
Dragon will complete 2 departure burns.
So
That, and then when we were working on the car,
and then after
we were gonna charge the fucking
it's ready for its
AC, but apparently the fucking Freon's in a shortage too right now.
and a number of other operations. If you're looking at this,
I know a lot of the
originally in reverse because that's
the big companies that are working on different kinds of fusion engines are getting to testing stages. So if there's a shortage of those,
executing
hoping that it's because a lot of the
drogue and then parachute
fusion engines are being tested with helium. I don't have proof of that, but I'm just fucking praying that that's why.
out of the water and get them out of the capsule.
Because there's like 6 different fusion engine designs that are like looking really promising.
Weather update. Let's go down now to the team at Kennedy. Murray.
All right, thanks, Dan. If you're just joining us, we are now
3 minutes until this guy comes on and it has to be awkward again.
from the first launch of astronauts to the International.
Oh yeah, see there you go, 9 years. So yeah, almost a decade.
In 9 years, we're going to find out in less than 4 minutes if the weather looks good for that. And this will mark the beginning of a new era where more people will be able to fly to space than ever before. In fact,
gonna be awesome.
I poll a little bit earlier to ask you if you had the opportunity.
Kyle's resounding yes. And then 86 people,
86% of those of you watching answered.
14% nah.
That's an incredible number. I think
14% of you are fucking flatlanders that never deserve to leave this planet.
You can be a regular, just a regular person.
You heard it here first, people.
Type rocket. So I think
You voted in that 14%. Kyle says fuck you.
Really thrilled to see all the folks watching along online. I know we certainly hope that that this is a go, but we're going to hear a little bit of a weather update in less than 3
You know the guy giving the weather updates? He's like, "Watch, Mom, I'm gonna be on TV."
weather update. They've come
It's pretty cloudy.
all the way down the count. What do you think Bob and Doug are thinking about right now?
we on 120 SES 129 we
About like 81.
having some weather problems, and I think we were close to the countdown.
How you guys doing?
It seemed like the sky just cleared up right above our heads. We saw it.
I just want to give a shout out to my mixtape.
That we always know that
Yeah.
have any types of delays, fuel.
Wow, Jake, this guy is almost as monotone as you are.
We've trained over and over.
No, I'm definitely more monotone.
Scenarios and
Shout out to my broham out in SoCal, Chad Broski.
we'll
What's
Got
up,
his
bro?
fire mixtape, DJ Mixmaster.
You can find him on SoundCloud or
Everybody
Bandcamp.
talks about, but no one can do anything about it.
I know.
And it is this interesting thing of just,
Oh,
coming
there was
to-
some.
to Mother Earth. She's going to tell us if we can go or not today.
What?
Right.
Well,
He's just like chilling on it.
this way, Bob and Doug got one.
Somebody's like, oh shit, change it!
Always best to practice.
They don't even tell him either. He's just still on his phone, just chilling out.
So again, we're less than 2 minutes now from.
Like, what a great time this is right now, but like, I'm just gonna chill on my phone.
And for that, because
He's probably live tweeting.
what that is,
I'm gonna check my fucking Tinder DMs.
we are interested to hear whether the weather is going to be a showstopper today.
If the weather's a showstopper, I'm gonna be pissed. Silence.
These clouds can seem really deceiving at times, right? You see
You think everything's good, everything's fine, then you go to sleep at night on fire.
The clouds just fucking sneak up and stab you.
Absolutely, and I know we've talked about it before, but it's not just the weather in Florida that they're.
So why can't they
weather
take off when it's raining?
have an abort in flight and they needed to come
Like-
down somewhere in the ocean. They need to consider what the
Oh,
weather's like.
there it is.
I should literally just answered.
Have to go out and get them in a situation like that. So
Like she knew.
so many variables.
I swear to God, if that guy doesn't come on the radio at exactly 20 minutes, I'm gonna be fucking pissed.
Always a chance of a scrub
The awkward guy that made them be like,
Yeah.
all right.
because you can have so much criteria that you have to meet.
Oh. Hey!
And then now we're just seconds away from a weather update.
Stage 2, RP1 load complete.
Pressure's on the weather guy making this report right now.
Don't fuck this up for
It's
the
good.
rest
Oh
of us,
shit! No, I mean, no, we have to abort.
man. Get fucked.
Sorry, bro. We already pushed the big launch button. She's going.
That is liquid oxygen you see venting off the rocket. That's completely normal and expected.
So that's not liquid oxygen anymore. That's aerosolized oxygen at that point.
Wait.
10 minutes. I don't think we're going to get there with any of the rules today.
I'm going to give you 10 minutes.
I mean, another 10 minutes past T0.
Oh.
1640, 1645 local. I think we'll probably be clear on all the rules, but
sorry.
not quite going to make it for this.
Are you kidding me?
We're going to check back in with you in about 2 minutes, and then I'll call it up at about T-minus 17 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, there's some of them are starting to count down, but we still have one above 2,000. So if that gets below,
Why did they cut their audio?
Rip.
Well, you know what, Aaron? I guess it doesn't matter that you were super fucking. Oh,
Sorry.
Ruby Jake.
That's what I was expecting to come over the radio.
Oh my god! Tornado!
I mean, I think they're more worried about tornadoes out in the ocean.
Oh, this is really not gonna launch today, huh?
That's obnoxious. Means we got
Everybody packing him, head home. We're not launching this bitch today.
we gotta fucking wait till Saturday.
See how pissed off Chad is.
I
see
think
chat.
I work Saturday too.
And we're going to continue to listen in for an update, but in the meantime, we're going to go over to John Insprucker at Spacex headquarters in California. John?
And Dragon SpaceX on weather. We're still not
T-minus
looking,
18
good
minutes
currently.
and counting.
LD is
We are still
having
red
some
on weather.
discussions. Expect an update from LD.
We're waiting in about
in a
another
few
minute
minutes.
for one final check with weather. We're going to
Ah,
try
no.
minutes possibly. We don't really expect that things will have improved. The weather officer was not optimistic that the weather would clear up that rapidly. We did hear the launch director, Mike Taylor, joke that, you know, if we could move 10 more minutes past the T0, weather conditions may improve, but Mike was not able to do that. We have an instantaneous window today. So at 17 minutes, we want to make that call because shortly after that, we will begin loading liquid oxygen onto the second stage So if we're not going to have the opportunity to launch, if the clock's going to run out, stand by.
Continue to violate a couple different weather rules that we now do not expect to clear in time to allow for a launch today. Today's launch attempt, launch control, would end the launch auto sequence and proceed into the launch abort has started.
All right, everybody,
I'm
pack it in.
pissed.
God damn it.
You know what? Just make better boats. Fucking launch.
We are not going to launch today. You are go for 5.100 launch scrub.
Damn it.
5.100. It was a good effort by the teams, and we understand, and we'll meet you there.
Son of a bitch.
We've heard the call from the crew. They have been informed. Launch Director Mike Taylor has called a scrub for the day, and we got the feedback when the Dragon team informed.
What does it look like on Friday?
They said we gave it a good try, but they understand, and we are here to try another day.
Or no, Saturday, right?
We did officially hold the clock. It looks like a T-minus 16 minutes, 54 seconds.
Clear.
The launch automatic sequence that controls the Falcon 9, the loading of propellants, the cycling of valves, that is also stopped. We now proceed into what is a normal scrub sequence for us. We practice this every launch. So now we move into safely taking the propellants, the pressurization gases back off the first and second stages. As things get into a safe configuration, then we will disarm the escape system on Dragon, and we'll bring the crew
Cape Canaveral, right?
around the spacecraft. So right now, we got down to just inside 17 minutes. The hardware was working very well on both
Kennedy Space Center.
spacecraft. We had the fuel loading going on. We had liquid oxygen loading going on, everything but second stage. And the weather just needed a little bit more time to clear the conditions. We didn't have that time because we had an instantaneous window.
Damn.
So with that,
that sucks.
The launch director had to call upon the input from weather.
Merritt Island.
Scrub for the day, per the safety rules that we have for this flight. So right now the team is undergoing the
Merritt Island.
scrub operations on both Dragon.
There's a rain shower there right now.
Working with the range, no issues being.
It's Saturday. There's supposed to be a fucking thunderstorm.
Everything.
Does it really?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at right now. I added the location of Merritt Island. That's where this is happening.
And so, we'll look at it as
Merritt Island, Florida.
Great dry rehearsal. Last Saturday we did a dry one, I should say, and today we've done a wet.
Like literally, the whole week is fucking just storms.
Get there, Dan.
Yeah, thanks, John and obviously we can't control the weather.
Damn.
We came right down to the wire there, hoping we could just between those cloud systems get a launch today, but it wasn't to be. But it doesn't mean we're done. We're going to have another attempt coming up in just 3 days, so we're going to be doing this all over again essentially on Saturday. On the 30th, and that launch attempt is going to be coming at 3:22 p.m. Eastern Time, so a little bit earlier in the day. It's going to look largely the same to everything that we saw today, with the crew waking up, going through suit up, making their way to the pad. So we're going to feel a lot of deja vu, I think, on Saturday.
Yep. But still exciting. Safety is always
Clearly, no one's checked the weather yet.
there for us today. Hopefully, Saturday it will be there for us, and we will have a safe launch on Saturday.
Yeah, the initial weather report still had us at about, I think, a 40% possibility of violation. So weather a little bit better, but we're still going to be kind of rolling the dice. It is Florida in the spring and summer, so storms are always a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
One of the good things, though,
Oh, wow.
the vehicle appeared to be in great health throughout the day, both Dragon and Falcon 9, so we didn't have to...
Apparently, the whole fucking Trump family was down there to watch it too.
Continue and follow along with Bob and Doug until they're out of that capsule, as again, they had started loading fuel onto the Falcon 9 rocket, so they'll have to wait until all that fuel comes off. They'll disarm the launch escape system, which still stays armed. They're still
Oh, what's this big red button do? Oops.
loaded rocket, and then once they're able to disarm that launch escape system, the crew arm will swing back out. They'll make their way once again back the way they came, and then it'll be back to crew.
Got to be a little disappointed, right? Like, I mean, like, it doesn't even, the weather doesn't...
Considering they sat in the thing for 3 hours, and the last half hour is just like, nah.
But if
Get off, he's like, I gotta take the biggest shit.
We were just a little under
Stage 1
17
locks and
minutes.
fuel flow rates.
40 minutes. Another 40 minutes.
Expecting about a 40-minute offload time.
So that call out, the LOX, the liquid oxygen fuel pumping out of the first stage of the Falcon 9, everything looking good with that. Expecting about 40 minutes for all that fuel to come off. So again, once that fuel comes off, Bob and Doug will be able to disarm the launch escape system, and that crew access arm will swing back out. They'll be able to make their way back down and then over to crew quarters. So unfortunate scrub today because of weather. That was the one thing we were tracking from the moment we started today, watching Bob and Doug get suited up for their launch.
Why is the stream viewer count is going up?
Launch or scrub today's launch with a little under 17 minutes to go until our T0 time, which was 4:33. So that's going to move us to our next attempt, which
People are probably thinking, oh man, is it happening? And then they're like, oh.
to be 3:22 p.m. Eastern time, so a little bit earlier in the day for Bob and Doug and for everybody else watching around the world. They're still going to have a 19-hour flight to station if that's when we launch, and a lot of the stuff that we saw today is going to look very similar, but we're just going to have to try again, cross our fingers, hope for a little bit better weather the next time.
So what time are we launching on Saturday?
3:20.
3:20 p.m.
Track everything all the way down to T0.
And that's the launch time?
Everything
Yeah.
is go, making sure that the range is go, weather is go. So this is standard procedure. We always tend to make sure that we have a backup day, launch day, in case we do have scrubs like today. So this is pretty normal and standard. Nothing to be
Doesn't make it any less annoying.
Again, we do this for the safety of our vehicle.
There it is.
As well as today, we had astronauts on our vehicle, so even bigger reason for us to make sure that we have safe weather for them to fly.
I bet the astronauts are like, fuck the weather, we just want to fucking go.
Oh, we lost 100,000 people on the viewer count.
Propellant to the Falcon 9, and while it is offloading that
I was about to say, I don't think anybody wants to really stick around for them just talking over. All right, well, we're going to have to take this old down now.
pad that is still armed. So we're going to continue to stay with this until all the propellant's off, and then we'll see the launch escape system get disarmed. Bob and Doug will be able to open up their visors again. The crew access arm will swing back out and link up with Dragon, and they'll make their way off and then down the tower at the pad. But
What a bummer.
if you're just now tuning in, no launch today. We did have to scrub because of the weather.
If you're just now tuning in, fuck you.
Saturday. Just going to continue to stand by as this propellant comes off. We heard a call that everything was going nominally or as expected so far. And then once all the propellant's off, we should see Bob and Doug make their way out of Dragon shortly after.
And he's like, I just want to take my helmet off now since we're not fucking launching.
Yeah, I want to get this fucking thing off.
God, I would be so pissed if I was, waiting for weeks and weeks to launch and they were like, oh, it looks a little cloudy, sorry, you're waiting another couple days.
Removed from the vehicle so that it is.
Well, it definitely sounded like he wanted to launch, like, super bad. I mean, who wouldn't if you got this far?
Yeah.
And this will take.
If there's not a hurricane, clouds be fucked.
So we are going to
Rain be fucked.
to watch this as they exit the vehicle eventually and come down from.
Eventually exit the vehicle. No, they live in there. That's where they're going to be forever until they launch.
Up until the point of the scrub, we had a really clean countdown. Weren't tracking any issues with Falcon 9 or the Dragon spacecraft, so
well, that's good.
Always a good thing to see. We did have to scrub because of that weather. To be a little bit more specific, we were still in violation of one of the weather criterias. It was the strength of electric fields in the atmosphere that the 45th Space Wing and other weather operators are monitoring around the launch pad. And that's one of those rules where we need a certain amount of time if we're in a violation. In this
Offloads are
case,
nominal, roughly 50% on stage 1 LOX and fuel, 85% on stage 2 fuel.
so the propellant offload on Falcon 9 continuing to go well.
I feel like
we needed a
they should
little
just
more
be able
time
to, optimize the
launch weather
electrical
constraint And
protection on the
launch window today,
rocket and just fucking launch. Who gives a shit?
We hope for the weather coming up on Saturday, where again our next launch attempt is going to be at 3:22 p.m.
What about that like weather changing thing that Hitler created? No one ever looked into that technology after they scooped up all those German scientists.
Able to get the hatch closed, the launch escape system arm, and Falcon 9 started refueling, just not able to make a good weather window today.
What? You act like fucking the U.S. didn't scoop up German scientists after the war was over.
Yeah, okay.
We would like to be found not guilty of all of our war crimes. That's ridiculous. You've got it.
We literally fought with Soviets over who we could capture first.
NASA and Spacex team are full.
Or HARP, that's what it was called.
Just an extra rehearsal
What?
on the belt.
The weather control system?
Yeah, HAARP.
Countdown. The weather is
Oh, I've heard that before. I've heard fucking conspiracy people talk about it.
requirements in place, not only around the pad, but in the case of this launch today, we're also looking at whether the entire ascent corridor, as we call it, so basically the entire way that they were flying up the east coast of the United States in this launch today, we're monitoring that weather.
Wait.
Those are areas that if they have an ascent abort, or basically Dragon firing off of the Falcon 9 while they're flying into space, we have to make sure that conditions are good in the sea states around those areas, just so they're not going to be landing in the middle
Which isn't a hurricane. It's actually technically a depression now.
off the coast of South Carolina today, just to help complicate things a little bit.
And people might be asking, if we knew the weather was going to be a little iffy today, why continue to count down? Well, that is the reason why we do all these checks all the way to count down. In Florida, the weather is, pretty sporadic. Sometimes a thunderstorm or hurricane will pass through. Within 20 minutes, it's gone, and we could have clear skies for...
A hurricane will pass through in 20 minutes. Okay.
We continued as scheduled. Standard procedure again to continue to monitor weather all the way down to the last minutes of the count, and we see what happens. So today, unfortunately, we did scrub for weather.
How many times are you going to mention that and just upset us all?
On May 30th.
We got Saturday going on.
Dan, Jesse, a couple of things to add on there. Right now we are 11 minutes after the scrub was called. Liquid oxygen and fuel are coming off of the first stage. From the view, it's still a little misty around the tank because there's locks on board. But we're between half and a third of each of the fuel and LOX tanks filled on the first stage. So propellant coming out right.
I don't know, boys. Should we pack it in too then?
Yeah, we can.
But it's also a smaller tank.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, hopefully we'll have a more eventful one on
Saturday.
Saturday, yeah, because I'm good at days of the week. All right. Well, we'll see you.
30th, people.
Yep, 3 days.
So right now the team
is
carrying